Hi, my name's Mark, and I've asked a gentleman to come in to see us today by the name of Hilton Barr. Thanks for coming in, Hilton.
Pleasure.
From a company called Can't2Can, which is a website about people helping people.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to ask, Hilton, if you wouldn't mind, can you just explain a little bit about exactly what that is and what Can't2Can does?
Yeah, sure. Well, the basic idea of Can't2Can, Mark, I think, let me just explain a little bit about my background and how that might fit in, because that might help explain my concept of the site. I worked in counselling and psychotherapy for quite some time, and one of my frustrations was that I could only work with one person at a time or with a small group of people. And what I realised, for every one person that actually came and got some help, not necessarily from me but from anyone, there would be probably thousands who, for whatever reason, never go and get any help. So they're just kind of sitting, struggling away. And some are geographically isolated as well, but more often than not, people are just very reluctant to go and get that type of help.
I can imagine you would be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so I wanted to do something. I've wanted for a long time to find some way of being able to offer things to people where there was very, very little barrier to entry.
Well, I guess, sorry to jump in, but I guess that if you're looking for some kind of help in that field, I would personally be a little bit reluctant or even possibly embarrassed, or maybe even ashamed. But now you've got this online.
That's right.
Okay, so I would definitely be more comfortable to go online and look at something.
Right.
And that's kind of where it's coming in, I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's
excellent.
That's the idea.
Okay.
I mean, I have to stress, of course, that it's not a replacement for going and seeing someone. But look, it's something. It's better than nothing. And the other concept with it was, I thought, there are so many people out there that have all kinds of success stories in huge array of areas. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we could actually have these people who've already achieved what maybe somebody is struggling with. Maybe they're at the beginning of their journey of a particular problem they're trying to resolve in whatever area, and have other people's experience that have actually successfully dealt with that.
I get it. Makes
and
sense.
that's why it's called Can't2Can. And really, essentially, it's having other people's hindsight and experience where they are prepared to actually put their story on the site.
I get it.
And be able to actually say, well, look, this is how I solved that particular problem.
Well, that's something that you could relate to.
Yeah.
If a certain problem I'm going through, someone else has been there and done it. I get it.
Yeah.
Look, I've actually noted a couple of questions down here, and it's part of the reason why I've asked you to come in, just to explain a little bit about exactly how this works. Appreciate it. So the basic idea behind the site, what you're saying is to help people who've got certain problems so they can relate to certain things from someone else on the site that's going through the same thing.
It's really where, look, let's say you, let's give an example, it's probably the best thing. Now say there's a teenage girl who suffered from cyberbullying. Let's just say there was that. Now, the way Can't2Can works is it's designed not so much for the person that's going through it in terms of contributing the stories. It's designed for somebody who's been through that experience and survived it, maybe learned a lot, and got the resources to be able to handle the particular thing that they did. So say there was this, I don't know, 15-year-old girl who's a victim of cyberbullying. She might at 20 say, look, I don't want another 15-year-old girl to go through this same thing. This is what I did to deal with that situation. She's been through it. She's been through it. So she's got the benefit of her hindsight and experience. And the whole idea of Can't2Can is to capture those kind of stories. And you don't have to be famous or anything like that. And everybody's story is equally relevant, whether you're a business person trying to get out of bankruptcy or get out of a tight spot, or a 15-year-old girl coping with cyberbullying. It doesn't make any difference. The thing is that there are other people out there who've already succeeded in doing pretty much the same thing. And these people, fortunately, are very willing, more often than not, to actually offer what they did to get out of a jam.
That makes perfect sense.
That's why it's called Can't2Can.
Okay. Well, one of the things that came up, because I did look at what you're doing to the understanding that I had, which was very limited.
Okay.
But tell me, what's really the difference between, say, Can't2Can and me looking up a solution on, say, Google, for example?
Sure, that's a very good point. And one of the things I would say is that the questions that we put, I was going to say the people through is not really the right term, but the questions we ask are designed by psychotherapists to actually really uncover the strategy of what people did, but not so much what they did, but more how they did it, and how they maybe dealt with the feelings involved. And a lot of people that write all kinds of guides and things only talk about what people did. They don't talk about they don't talk about how they dealt with all the feelings that go on. Now, if you're feeling pretty down from cyberbullying or your business isn't going well, there's all kinds of emotions that are going on for somebody. And I think it's just as important to know how somebody successfully overcame or dealt with all of those negative self-thoughts, the feelings of maybe inadequacy and all that kind of thing that goes along with anybody that's in trouble in some kind, with somebody who went through that and said, well, look, this is what I did. Now, they're not saying that's the only way to do it. They're saying, this is just what I did. And the stories all have to come from people who've actually done it themselves. So it's a very genuine offering from people who've overcome a similar issue in the past themselves, and they're prepared to offer their kind of way of doing it for people to have a look at.
Well, that's nice, because that kind of eliminates, I mean, you've heard it a million times where someone says, you know, you don't know what I'm going through or what I feel like. Well, in this case, they do, because they've been through, in most cases, the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Or something very, very similar. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
I guess I have another question here, which is kind of relating to some of what we already said. And I was going to ask, you know, it sounds quite impressive, actually. Can you give us a quick example of, say, someone that's actually on your site that's been through something?
Yes, sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there is a story actually of a young lady who had a spider bite. Now, there's nothing that unusual about the spider bite. The thing was, she went through this spider bite poisoning situation, which initially wasn't that big a deal. What happened was, she spent over 3 months progressively getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and there was nobody that could help her. Wow. She'd been to the doctors, she'd been to this, she'd been to that, and what was happening was that the toxins from the spider bite were progressively attacking her immune system and her nervous system, and everyone knew she was going downhill, but nobody knew what to do, until she eventually found out how to get some help for this particular type of situation. And there was only one specialist in the country that had the knowledge of what to do. And he himself actually ended up talking to her about what to do, because he knew that unless she got the right treatment, emphasize that, the right treatment, nothing would change and she would maybe end up dead.
Wow.
Now, fortunately, she did get the treatment, but she does have some permanent damage. And this is her story of how she not only got the treatment and stopped getting worse, but started to also get better. And then she's also found that she's a really keen surfer, and she could no longer surf the way she used to. So she developed
that's very serious.
Yeah, that's right. But she developed a surfboard that enabled her to surf. I forget what it's called, Surf Easy or something, I'm not sure. And now she actually has it for older people that want to surf or even want to ski or something like that, who think they can no longer go out there in the waves. And she's made this surfboard available. And alongside that, she also, because of the bite, she got a really strong sensitivity to chemicals or anything like that. So she's developed a range of allergy-free sunscreen.
Wow. All this good that's come out of the spider bite.
All this good that's come out of the spider bite. And she's changed herself in many ways as well. You know, she said she was she said she was a shopaholic. And she said she now realizes that actually what really matters for her is probably helping people as well. So she was very, very keen to be able to offer what's worked for her as a genuine way of being able to help other people. So that's the kind of thing that I think in Can't2Can is a really lovely story.
I've got to ask, it's just a curiosity thing, I mean, what type of spider was it, do you know?
I don't, it may have been a redback. Actually,
sounds like something kind of rare though.
Yeah.
Or maybe she just had a rare reaction.
Yeah, a rare reaction perhaps, yes, that's right. That's maybe what it was, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, that kind of prompts me to my next question, which is coming at really good timing. What about if I have a certain problem? There's nothing on the site that I can relate to with that.
Sure. Well, I mean, of course that can happen. And what we have is we've got provision in the site to take in the stories that people want a solution for.
Okay.
And that's very important actually, because we will then put it out on the site and say, look, we're looking for some solutions on this particular problem.
Okay,
now you might say there's a general thing, like say, I don't know, let's just say business people wanting to have more profit. That's a very general story. Or you could have another one of, you know, feeling better from depression. Again, a very general story. There can be lots of solutions. What I find with Can't2Can is very important, and what I've noticed with people in general, is that the more specific it is that you want something to deal with a certain age group, a certain type of industry perhaps, that you want a solution for, then we could actually target in on that area. And I find that surprisingly people are very willing to offer the advice if only they're asked, and they say, look, I've dealt with this. I'm really happy to put it on the site. Maybe that'll help somebody else. And it's in the spirit of that. It's why I say Can't2Can is people helping people. Nobody's an expert there. There's just experience that we've had. And maybe we can help some other people through the experience we've had.
Well, I think the experts have a certain play in it, but also sometimes if someone's just a normal person who've been through it, can really relate to that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so if I wanted to contribute to the site, me personally, what would I have to do?
Well, we just have a procedure that we go through where we do the interview. Of course, we get your permission if you were to go on the site, and we'd say, what kind of area do you feel you'd like to contribute and what have you. And then we just go through the process of it, and we arrange a phone interview, well sometimes a video interview, but mainly they're phone interviews. It can be anywhere in the world.
So if I don't want to put my face in there, you can just do an audio over the phone?
Yeah, we can do audio over the phone.
Excellent.
That's usually what we do, because it's fairly quick, it's non-intrusive, you can be anywhere, and it doesn't require any particular setup, and we simply do it on Skype usually, and we record the calls. It's as simple as that.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
What's one of the aims of Can't2Can, like, you know, for the future? Where do you see this going?
Well, it's an interesting thing because I keep imagining where it might go. Essentially, really, it's just a provision for people to be able to access some stories that might help them. And of course, we'll have feedback forums where maybe other people will add their stories in of what maybe has helped them. I'm very aware too, Mark, that different things work in different countries and certainly with different cultures.
Yes,
absolutely. So you have to be culturally sensitive to certain things, and I think, like for instance, issues around relationships and culture often are very clearly defined, shall we say, because of their morality in one culture is very different to morality in another. But this also brings in the opportunities of how people have got on with mixed marriages. You know, a friend of mine at work, he is a Nepalese guy, and his wife is really the wrong, not his wife, his girlfriend is the wrong caste for his family.
Oh, gee.
So there's nothing right or wrong about it all. It's just that maybe there's somebody else who's had a story of how they've dealt with that situation. So that's of a great deal of value to people in that situation who understand that world. You know.
I've personally been through something very similar.
Oh, right, yeah.
It wasn't a caste thing, it was almost like a religion thing.
Yeah, a religion,
so,
exactly, a religion.
So yeah, that was, I remember that was in my teenage years, it was very tough.
Yeah, it is very difficult. So and that's where perhaps if you have a relationship story and there's the forum section, that people can maybe offer their things from different cultures and things like that. So it's really just there as an open forum for people to, as long as it's done in the spirit of people helping people, anything is on the site is fine from my point of view. That's what it's all about.
It's not like a WordPress blog where people just put in anything they want. You kind of monitor it to make sure it's something.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
My last question really is, and something I'm just curious to know is, why did you originally want to start Can't2Can?
Well, I originally wanted to start it because I just thought personally, I tell you honestly, Mark, I don't have any children. My wife and I couldn't have children. And I think I've always been passionate about helping people. And I really thought, look, I'm 56, and I actually thought, I really want to make a difference in some shape or form. And I want to feel like my life on the planet, given I haven't got children to leave, at least maybe I could leave something that I could say, well, you know, I've made a contribution in some way, in a way that I could relate to. So I thought, well, look, why not do it? Why not do something where I can combine my natural tendency to want to help people, with being able to offer something that maybe can help people. It's an experiment. I don't know how well it will work. All I know is, why not give it a shot? Why not give it a try? And I think, because I do get such a lot of positive reaction as I tell people about it, that there's nothing to lose by just giving it a try.
Well, you know, it's better you do. And one of the things that I've not told too many people is that when I was younger, I used to visit nursing homes. My grandmother ended up in a nursing home, and we always made sure that every single day there was at least one of us there. There wasn't a day went by when she didn't have one of the family there. And you know, we didn't go in and stay for 2 or 3 minutes like everyone else did. We were there for hours and hours and hours. And I saw 2 things in there that I remember very, very clearly. Number one is that, yes, people did come in and go quick, but they mostly come around Easter and Christmas, and half an hour they were gone. And the poor people, they didn't get to see their family again, which was really, it made me angry. The thing that scared me the most, which I kind of relate to what you were saying there, you want to do something, is there was an old guy, his name was James. And he was a funny guy, and he was upstairs in the upstairs area where my grandmother used to be, and we used to get him to come down and sing. We used to give him a banana to come. That was his payment to come and sing. That's all he ever wanted. And his singing was bloody terrible, but it was nice, you know. But I remember one day when he was almost on his last legs, and I was sitting there over his bed and I was talking to him. I said, James, tell me, you know, if you had your life over, what would you do different? What he said next scared the living daylights out of me. Was one word. He said, I would change everything. Everything was the word. And I didn't get it right then in that moment, but I still remember that very clearly. And over time, like, that just says to me, you know what, do something now. Because one day you might be lying there and you think, you know, I wish I had have just done some things that I've always wanted to do.
That's right.
So, I mean, that just came up. I didn't really think to ask. That was one of my questions. I think it's great that
you've shared it. And that was going through my mind as well. I thought, I spent most of my life probably thinking it's all about me, 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 and thinking I had to grab things in my life, you know, possessions and all that kind of stuff. And I went down that track for a long way, as young men do, you know. And now, even though I don't really have much, but I actually feel much more generous of spirit. I'm not really interested in acquiring more stuff anymore. What I want to do is I want to make a contribution, and because that makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. And like I say, because we don't have children, perhaps it fills a void in my life, I guess. But aside from that, I just think, perhaps what was his name? George?
James.
James. You know, I don't want to go through life and thinking I didn't do anything. You know, I just waited, and I thought I'm just got to try and do something that I think makes a difference and that feels good to me and feels kind of right for me to do, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Pretty sure his name was James, or could have been Charles. So it's so long ago now.
James or Charles, thanks for the inspiration.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening. And just in closing, I'd like to ask Hilton, is there anything that you'd like to say to somebody watching this video right now?
Well, I'd like to say, I think there's 2 people, basically, that this site is for. One is for people looking for help, and one is for people offering help. So there's plenty of people with great stories out there about how they've done certain kinds of things. And believe me, your stories are valuable. So we would love to include your stories in the website. And it doesn't matter what area it is, I guarantee your story will be valuable to someone.
Wonderful.
You know, so we call those people the contributors to the website. The other people, of course, is people going through a difficult time. And by all means, have a look at the site. I can't guarantee there'll be every solution that you're looking for there. I would love it if it was, but the fact is, if you have a look at the site and see if you get some inspiration there, maybe get some support, that's what the whole site is about, and please take advantage of it. It's there for use. We have to charge a little bit for the downloads, but that's really just to keep the site going. So it's there as a kind of a win-win-win situation for everybody, and that's my intention with Can't2Can.
Perfect. Look, thanks for coming in today. I know you've driven a long way to come here, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Look forward to catching up again soon.
Terrific. Thank you very much.